What's up, everybody? Kyle with Arts Records and Tapes here. It's been a while since I've recorded a video. As you can see, a lot of my records are missing. And that's because my family and I have been busy getting ready to move. I mentioned this in my last video, but if you didn't check that one out, yeah, we are moving just across town to my in-laws' house, the house my wife grew up in. They decided to downsize, and so we decided to purchase the house. It's a little bit bigger than this house. And so I'm in the process of moving all of my records over there, crate by crate. So yeah, trying to keep it all organized while I do it, which is why there's some still here and some missing. But today I wanted to talk about a collection that I've mentioned in a lot of other videos that I actually got for free. So it was about a year and a half ago or so. It was on Facebook. I was talking to a neighbor who asked me if I wanted a pair of their son's shoes for my son. And we didn't need shoes at the time, so she said, okay, well, I'm just gonna put them on Buy Nothing. And I was like, what is that? Didn't know what Buy Nothing was. And if you're not familiar, it's, I believe, a national, maybe international organization. I don't know what its structure is, but there's an app, and I think the majority of it all happens on Facebook. So there's all these groups, and you sign up based on your address. And so it's all of your neighbors. And there you can post things to give away as gifts, items for free. So like you'll see a lot of almost expired food, or just like extra food people don't want. Things that you typically put out on the lawn for free. It's a great way to just like, what do I do with this? Instead of putting it in a drawer and forgetting about it or throwing it away, someone can use it right then and there, and it's a neighbor, and so it feels good. But anyway, I didn't know what it was and signed up, and it was maybe a week or so went by, and I was scrolling through and saw a bunch of records on Buy Nothing, and the post said, my parents are downsizing. We have all of these records, a lot of Guy Lombardo. My parents, some of them are my parents, some of them are my parents' records. They've been in storage or in the basement for a long time. Please come and get them. And I, being new to Buy Nothing, there's a whole like etiquette to it all. Like you're supposed to comment and say you're interested and explain what you're gonna do with them. And I didn't know that. So instead of leaving a comment, I just sent the person a message because I was so excited. Like, oh my gosh, all these records. I just sent them a message and said, I'll be over in an hour. So I loaded my son up and we drove over there and walked in the front door with him in my arms. He was about almost 2 at the time. And it was a older couple, and I saw the records sitting there as I walked in. I said, hey, I'm here for the records. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, these were some of our records, and mostly my father's records. He was a big collector. He kept really good care of them, and we just haven't had a turntable for a long time, and they've just been collecting dust, and there's so many we can't bring them with us. And I was like, okay, well, great. This is Arthur, by the way. I pointed to my son. That's my son's name. And she just like lit up at that. And she was like, oh, wow, that was my father's name, the collector of most of these records. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's just so serendipitous. Almost meant to be. So that was pretty cool. And I explained to them, like, I'm a collector myself. I'm going to take these, take good care of them, clean them up, pick out what I want. I sell some online, yada yada. And she turns to her husband and is like, okay, this feels really good. And like, we can't really help you carry them. It's like, yeah, your daughter told me. And so I put my son in the stroller and parked him between the car and the house and went back and forth carrying records, loading up the trunk, and then loaded him up, and away we drove and got them home. And it was a little over 500 records, and went through them as best I could, and then put them on a shelf. I think a 2x4, 2x2 in my basement, and there they sat for quite a while. I went through them periodically when I had time and picked out stuff I liked. And then here recently, I finally, because we're moving, had to go through all of them and really condense it down. So sold a bunch, donated quite a bit, and then kept a few. So in this video, I've got about 10 records or so here that I've cleaned up and have listened to, have added to my collection that I really love. Some stuff I already knew, some music that I didn't, and have been really pleasantly surprised by it. And then at the end, I'll show just a flip through video of what I kept. It was about a crate full, that I haven't cleaned up and listened to yet. Some of it I might keep, some of it I might not, but it's the stuff that I thought would be worthwhile to listen to. So yeah, let's look at these records first. The first one is probably the one I'm most excited about. For a while, I would just pull one out every day at random and look it up if I didn't know what it was on Discogs, and if there was something online, I'd take a listen, clean it up. If I liked it, clean it up, and then listen to the whole thing. And this was one of them. And at first, the cover attracted me because it's got this gold foil on it, which is really cool. I had no idea what it was, and it's all ripped up here. But it's Evelyn Freeman and the Exciting Voices. I believe it says, conducts. Evelyn Freeman conducts the Exciting Voices, an orchestra. And the album's called Didn't It Rain. And that's the title track, which is an old gospel song. It's been covered a lot. The band covered it, Mahalia Jackson. Those are some of the most popular versions. One of the earliest covers was by Sister Rosetta Tharpe. But yeah, this version is great. It's why that's the title track, but also just the rest of the album. It's a lot of like gospel standards, and I think some original stuff too. It's just really fantastic. 1958, this album came out, and you can really hear the coming of funk and soul. I mean, it was already there, but like they incorporated a lot of those elements in the music and the orchestration, the arrangements, and it really comes out. And the singing, the Exciting Voices. They're very exciting. So yeah, and it's on this blue vinyl, which I find very cool for the time. I mean, I've never seen a colored vinyl that old. And there's a few different versions out there. This is, I believe, the second. It's stereo. There was a mono version that came in black, and then United Artists reissued it in the 60s, and it's got a different cover, no gold foil. I'd like to get my hands on a copy of one of those just to have it, and then it's probably, this one's VG, I'd say. Plays fine, no skips, just some clicking. I actually ripped it because it's not on streaming. Didn't It Rain you can find on streaming. It was released as a 45, and this version of it. But the rest of the album wasn't on streaming. I only found Didn't It Rain on YouTube. So I ripped the whole thing, and it's in a playlist on my channel. I posted it on my other channel just for copyright purposes, but playlisted it here. And when I do the flip video of all the other records, I'm going to put a track over it so you can hear it. It's really cool. Check it out. I was just so pleasantly surprised to find this one. And that's Didn't It Rain? Evelyn Freeman conducts the Exciting Voices. Very, very cool. The next one is not as interesting, but like interesting enough. And the cover kind of says it all. Music to make housework easier. Let's see if I can pronounce the artist's name. Sinfoniette de... I'm not going to try. Italian, I believe, under the direction of William Gunther. I can say that. This record I mean, look at that. And it's in mint condition. It was actually like in the shrink still. The shrink was just coming off, so I took it off. I know, but it was really, it's hard to get in and out of the sleeve. But cleaned it up. The record is like hardly played. It's easy listening. I mean, it's chamber music. It's not quite big band, but it's classical, easy listening. It's music to make housework easier. It's a pleasant listen, but I'm keeping it just for the cover alone. I mean, come on. Incredible. And it's actually on streaming. So if you want to check it out, just type in music to make housework easier. It'll come up. But yeah, and worth a decent amount of money too. I was pleasantly surprised by that one. It was really cool. That was fun to find. Oh, I just remembered in a previous video, and I don't have it here because I've moved it, but in a previous video I showed it off, I believe, in my summer vinyl tag. There were 2 copies of Bo Diddley's self-titled record in this collection. And so I gave one to a buddy and I kept one. It skips a bit. The other copy didn't skip, but was very, very scratched and crackly. This one isn't as crackly, but has some skips. I'm going to try to fix them, but cool to have that. I mean, 1959, considered to be one of the first rock and roll records. I'll put a picture of it here. But yeah, that's a great one. We've got some classical here. Stravinsky, Nonsuch, late 50s, 60s, I believe, early 60s. Really clean. This one's great. Nocturnes, Chopin. Red Seal, always really great quality. RCA Red Seal. This is a dollar bin record, but I'm a big fan of Glenn Miller. And my wife and I actually, our first dance was to Moonlight Serenade. So I just really, I get into Glenn Miller. His story is quite tragic, but good music all around. And then we've got some local stuff. Again, I don't know how long the folks I got this collection from had lived there. I assume quite a long time. And maybe their father had lived in that house as well. The majority of the records were his. And obviously they probably born and raised here in Minneapolis in the Twin Cities. So there's some local stuff in there. And I like to collect the local stuff. You never know what you're going to find. The private press stuff. So this record, it's a gospel record. The Jones sisters sing spirituals and other favorites. Sing Time, stereo, and yeah, it's pressed here. Harmon Place, Minneapolis, Minnesota, 1965. It's okay. Yeah, it's pleasant enough, but I've got a nice collection going of Twin City stuff. I actually might rip this one too because it's not on streaming, just to put it out there. But yeah, I mean, good stuff. Doesn't compare to Didn't It Rain, but nonetheless. And now we've got some blues and rock. There wasn't a lot in there. As I mentioned before, it was tons of Guy Lombardo. I'm pretty sure Arthur had his entire discography. But there was some blues and some rock, not a lot. The Best of Lightning Hopkins, this is great. So quiet, the way it was recorded, so intimate. A lot of the songs, just him and his guitar and voice, like beautiful, beautiful stuff. So really happy to have that one. And then we've got 2 Johnny Cash records. This one is still in the shrink. I Walk the Line and the famous Johnny Cash. 2 of his records I didn't have. So Columbia 2 Eyes, nice to have those. And there was one Beatles record, that's Help, which I did not have. VG, Jacket and record, but hey, nice to have, add to my collection. I hadn't really spent much time with this one. You know the songs because they're just in the zeitgeist, but I didn't know all of them. And I don't think I've shared this on this channel, but if I had to pick, I'd say George Harrison's probably my favorite Beatle. And I hadn't heard the song I Need You before. Maybe I had, but just never registered. And man, track 5, side 1. Beautiful song. One of my favorites now. I Need You. So it's Help, the Beatles. And last but not least is probably my favorite Christmas album, at least right now. I really wanted to make a video around the holidays about my favorite Christmas albums. Just ran out of time. I'll try to do it next year. But this is the King of Christmas, Mr. Bing Crosby, and his album, Merry Christmas. And this, my friends, is a first press. 1959, I think. Don't quote me on that. But I am stoked to have this. And I was flipping through one night a bunch of them, and I saw this and I said, no, it can't be. And I took it out of the sleeve and it was just minty. Like, I don't think there's a scratch on this thing. Like a tiny ding on side 1. And it plays great. Like, the Didn't It Rain album is probably my favorite out of this collection, but like, I am so stoked to have this. I had a reissue from like 2014, and just to have this record in this good of condition, and like the jacket, you know, there's some tape and some staining, but it's still in like great shape. Fabulous Christmas album. My favorite. Check it out if you haven't. Even now, in February. Why not? Give it a spin. So yeah, those are the highlights, and there are probably more great records in what I'm about to show you that I just haven't had the time to listen to. So, like I said before, I'm going to play a track off. Let's get it out here. I'm going to play a track off Didn't It Rain while I flip through these records so you can hear it. And if you like what you hear, go to my playlist on this channel and check out, I think it's called Rips. And it's just albums that I find that I like that aren't on streaming. This is on there. I think there's just 2 at the moment. Check it out. Really great. So yeah, here's the flip video. If you see anything in there that you know is good, please leave it in the comments. I'll pull those first and take a listen. Thank you for watching. And the next time I make a video, I'll be in a new house. And I'm getting rid of this shelf, so might not have as many records behind me. So we'll see what we'll do. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
God Almighty, Lordy, I got a wing, you got a wing, all of God's children got a wing. Hallelujah, Lordy. When I get to heaven, gonna put on my wings, gonna fly all over God's heaven. Heaven, 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 heaven. Everybody talk about it, everything's going to heaven. Heaven, 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 fly all over God's heaven. Great God Almighty, Lordy, I got a shoe, you got a shoe, all of